Anthem Community Church. Do you remember that old question about the tree that falls in the forest? If no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound? One of the answers to that question is no, because sound is what happens in here. Eardrum, neurons, brain, all working together to create what we consider sound. Or not, if there are damaged or missing parts. Recently, I was reading in the book of James, chapter 1, and a similar kind of question occurred to me. If a fast food feast is delivered to a dining room table, but no one is there to want it, does it cause temptation? James would say, absolutely not, because temptation is what takes place in here. Listen to this, James 1:14. But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire. So let's say two men walk into this room where the feast is. Are they going to be lured and enticed by their desires? We need some more information. This man hasn't eaten all day. This man just came from a big, healthy dinner. Will they be tempted? Not this guy. He's full. His longings have been met. No temptation here. This guy, however, might look at that table of junk food and say, oh man, I know this isn't good for me, but I am so hungry. Temptation is taking place. It's the same way with you and me and temptation that leads to sin sometimes. What is in our soul, how well its longings and desires have already been met, is the basis for whether or not we will be tempted by this or that. So what does a soul long for? It's different for different people, but some of us long for power, some of us long for belonging or control, to be loved, respected, wanted, to feel safe. The list goes on and on. Then when something comes along that promises to fill that hunger because of our longings, we get tempted. At this point, most of us see two options. Number one would be to operate under our self-control, use all the strength we can muster up to deny ourselves and say no. And this other path that we could take is to give in to the temptation, which then gives birth to sin, as James puts it. This is how strong our longings and desires can be. We are willing to sin in order to get what our souls are hungry for. Here's an example. Let's say I long to feel validated. And the way I'm going to try to satisfy that hunger for validation is by keeping my house perfectly decorated and clean and tidy. And whoever dares mess with my perfection, I will deal with very severely out of the twistedness of my soul. Sin, because my feelings about my house are more important than that person. Or to fulfill a validation hunger, I might work extra long and hard at work, neglecting my family, carving out no time to serve other people. Why? Because I'm looking for that validation from my workplace. Or maybe I will spend money that I don't have to get possessions that I'm hoping will help me get that validation. Sin. Many of us have been going through life blaming these things and people and circumstances, moaning about how we're at the mercy of these things. They cause us to be tempted and they cause us to sin. And all the while, James is saying, it's what's in our own hearts that make it temptation or not. Oh, that our hearts would be filled and satisfied with the fullness of God. If I were filled with the fullness of God, I imagine that I would be tempted much less. The junkie of this world would have less and less enticement, less allure. The things of earth would grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace. So how do we get this fullness of God? We ask. And my friends, this is option number 3. We ask why. Why do I continually go after, long, seek for the junkie of this world. And we ask, well, what? God, what am I missing? What's broken inside me that makes these things alluring? What is my soul really hungry for? And then these next two are more asking by way of a request. Holy Spirit, please come in to that missing part. Please come into that hungry area and please fill it. Fill it with yourself. Can he do that? Fill us with himself? Yes, he can. He will. He does. It's part of why he came to die on the cross and rise again. So, church, what are we waiting for? Let's each schedule time with God and sit down and begin to ask the right questions.